This presentation is about packaging concepts. So here's the module page. There's a PDF file to download and use that for your review, follow along. But this is about packaging with a primary focus on fresh cut products. And even though the date is a bit old on this presentation that I'm borrowing, the concepts are largely unchanged. There have been certainly advances, incremental advances, but the concepts here are basically identical today. So what are the things that go into packaging? Quite a few things, but primarily produce physiology. In other words, you've got this living thing that you're sticking in a bag, a pouch, a cup, or whatever. This is not talking about canned goods. This is fresh packaging. So these are living things that are respiring, cellular respiration, which is the burning of oxygen, the burning of sugars with oxygen to create energy to maintain basic cellular life. So I don't care whether it's a carrot, a cabbage, lettuce, it all is alive. And so you need to think about the respiration rates, especially the oxygen use is the primary consideration, but there are other things to do with physiology. It could be exposure to light, how that impacts physiology, exposure to heat, how that impacts physiology, other nutrients or chemicals, water availability, all of those things. Polymer engineering. Polymers are chemical compounds that are linked together into long thread-like chains to form plastics and other materials. So nylon fabrics and polyesters and polyvinyls, all of these different types of plastic materials is what we're primarily talking about. And there have been huge material science advances in the chemistry and construction of polymers for bags. The primary one that I focus on in this class is the OTR films, oxygen transmission rate films, that have a very specific oxygen transmission rate in a plastic film that can be used to contain a bag of salad or whatever produce that needs a very slow transmission of oxygen to replenish oxygen in the container as it's being used by the physiological activity of the living plant's tissue that's inside. There are other issues, the size, shape, thickness, strength. We've done a lot to change clamshells, water bottles, trays, all kinds of different packaging changes for a variety of different purposes, making them lighter, making them stronger, making them improved airflow, making them bacterial resistant, on and on and on. And then converting and filling technology. So all of the technologies in slicing, dicing, blanching, anything that you're doing to the product, mixing, blending, combining different things. So you put in the dressing and crouton packages as well as the lettuce into a single bag, and all of the technology around that. Tons of different technologies in the converting, filling, and automation of the whole system. And all of that together, marketing. You notice marketing is the overall catch term, the overall piece of the diagram here that shows it encompasses all of these things, because somebody has to want the product. Somebody has to see the product, be attracted to the product in enough of a way to go, what's that? Grab it, put it in their grocery cart, and buy it. Or maybe it's a corporate customer. You're selling 5-pound bags of shred to Taco Bell. You're still marketing. You just have a very different marketing process if I'm selling to a corporate customer versus a retail consumer at a grocery store or something like that. So marketing is all about the bag or package size, the colors, the ability or inability of that package to avoid problems where it steams up, it has colors that look weird. I saw one package, it was a real flop where the product was supposed to be a one color. I can't remember what this was, but they used some sort of a green tint on the plastic, which fit in really nicely with the artwork. But the package inside looked a little green. You know, imagine hamburger buns with a green tint plastic. Your first thought is mold, right? It just doesn't work. So you are trying to create eye appeal, value, convenience, whatever you're trying to sell. It's all part of this overall package of marketing. So what goes into this? What drives innovation? The consumer is one of the main drivers. What do they need? What catches their eye? What's current in terms of people's minds? You try to sell, organic in the 1970s, and very few people even knew what the heck that meant. It wasn't even a legal term until the early 90s. And nowadays, organic is a big marketing issue. What's appropriate? A 1-pound bag, a 10-ounce bag, a 2-pound bag? What do people want? What's going to be good for the consumer? And on and on and on. The consumer is your primary customer at the retail end, unless you're talking about the corporate customers, the what they call the food service customers, like a restaurant, a hotel chain, a cruise line, things like that are serving food. Produce innovation, that drives innovation. So people are coming up with new ideas. You said escarole or frisee, kale 10 years ago, and most people go, what are you talking about? Maybe some of you are still saying, what are you talking about? Even though you probably ate it in a bag salad recently. And some of those, hopefully you recognize those terms. They are specialty leafy greens that have caught on dramatically in the last 8, 10, 12, 15 years that have changed things. So now you have new physiology, new products, new things that you're going to try to put in a bag. Maybe it's new varieties, new things that were grown in Europe but haven't been grown in the US. We're trying to figure out how to create something out of that. On and on and on. There's lots of technological and consumer related innovation that changes what is available, and that makes an impact in driving new innovation. Packaging misconceptions. So I don't know exactly what the original author was driving at in terms of which misconceptions they were focusing on, but there are lots of misconceptions about what should be a package. For years, people stuck strawberries in these little baskets, these little green plastic baskets, because that's the way everybody did it. Now we don't see those baskets hardly at all. I haven't seen one in a couple of years. Um, they are replaced by clamshells. Uh, just because you have a package because everybody else is doing it doesn't mean it's the best way to do it. So we need to look at packaging and make it better. What are the problems? What are the limitations? How could we improve shelf life? How could we improve shelf eye appeal from a marketing standpoint? Shelf life is how long the product inside the package lasts. Shelf appeal is how the product catches the consumer's eye to hopefully get that consumer to put it in their basket. And certainly packaging technologies, machinery that uses various technology to put things into a box, a bag, a cup, whatever. And technology has moved very rapidly in that regard. Robotic automation, sensor technology, things that have really, really changed the market in these last 10 years and continue to change the market. So in terms of consumer requirements, they want convenience. They want things to be fresh. They want quality. They want nutrition. They want it to look good. They want to feel like they're doing the right thing for themselves and or their families. And so consumers are looking at very specific things. Did I? Yes. Sorry, this is not set up for an easy slideshow. Packaging of tomorrow, gaining insight. This is a DuPont sponsored survey. I left that in here. I'm not sure if the link is still good. I don't really care if the link is still good. I'm sure you can still find it. But it was an interesting consumer survey that was looking at insight into the consumer's mind. And companies do this all the time. We did it routinely when I was at Fresh Express and other companies. We would look at target areas. California tends to be driven faster than most of the rest of the country. And so California is not a very good target market to test consumer opinion because we tend to not think like the rest of the country in many ways. We tend to be thinking like the country might be thinking in another 10 years. We're ahead of the curve in terms of accepting organics and new types of products and things like that. California tends to be out in front in a way that makes them less likely to represent a national marketing campaign. And so there are test markets in various places in the Midwest and Texas and other parts around the country that seem to be better indicators of a broader market. Now, that's not to say if I'm going to open a restaurant in San Francisco that I care what they think in Austin, Texas, or in some backwater Iowa. I don't care because I'm opening the restaurant in San Francisco. I've got to do my consumer testing in the location where I'm selling. But a lot of this stuff is about national branding and national acceptance. And so you can push the national market in a forward thinking, progressive consumer direction, but you got to be a little slower than California normally does it. So anyway, enough on that. If you're interested, look it up. It's not required to look at that. But I will point out some of the key findings that they talk about. When buying food, 60% ranked taste or freshness is most important. Now, keep in mind, this is an old survey that's 15 years old, but still some of these things are true in things I've read most recently. Taste and freshness is really important in the fresh foods market. When thinking about packaging, 35% ranked freshness as the most important. Again, freshness. People want fresh, healthy, tasty visually appealing, and what things look like and taste like is an indicator of freshness. Consumers are willing to pay more for freshness. We've known that for a long time. I remember all the naysayers, the people who said, what the hell is this packaged salad market? Why would you stick a bunch of lettuce with a few grated carrots and cabbage into a bag and call it a salad and make people buy it for $1.99 a pound? More now, but back then, that was expensive. $1.99 for a pound. You could make 3 times that much salad by just buying a damn head of lettuce, a carrot, and a head of cabbage. Nobody's going to buy it because it's too expensive. I heard that over and over. It's stupid. How many people are so damn lazy they can't take a knife and cut up their lettuce? Fast forward from the mid-90s up to today, and packaged salads are a multi-billion-dollar business. It's huge. And it's huge because of freshness, convenience, and I think that anybody who isn't willing to consider the consumer's willingness to pay for convenience, they're making a big mistake. So don't worry about the actual amounts. The bottom line is consumers are willing to pay. So vegetables, fruits, novel combinations, nothing really to talk about here, but the last one I think is important: protein, carbohydrate, and produce. There are little snack packs now and lunch packs where you get the ready to eat salad and it's got a little bit of grilled chicken or maybe some nuts or sesame seeds or other things. You're trying to take what is a convenience item that only fills a single need, the side dish, the salad, the fruit cup, whatever, and turn it into a nutritious meal. Maybe not a balanced meal, but at least it's part of your daily balance. Maybe a little slice of cheese with some apples and some nuts. There are lots of ways people have looked at these combinations of protein, carbohydrate, and some produce, fruits and or vegetables, that will give somebody what is perceived as a healthy, complete meal or snack. And I think we've got a long way to go there. I think this combination issue is a market that's going to grow, and it's going to grow a lot. People are going to want to buy a nutritionally balanced set of meals, and just you grab it and run. And some people think, oh, that's just kids stuff. The Lunchables, if you're familiar with the Lunchables, those are to throw in a really quick and easy meal for your kids going to elementary school, and it's not for anybody else, and it's only for lazy people. And we now know that's not true. It's about convenience. It's about providing something that will fill an important need for the consumer. Now, are Lunchables like the healthiest alternative? If you're just feeding your kid Lunchables, I would say that's probably not satisfying that need as it needs to be in the long run. And I think they can grow on that, make things a little more nutritious. But it's hard with American elementary school age kids. How do you get them to want to eat healthy? That's really tough. When we get to adults, it's much easier to develop healthy foods. So I think the market's wide open for these kinds of meal packs that combine protein, carbohydrate, and produce. Just my opinion. Now, packaging misconceptions, again, I said I don't know exactly what they were after in terms of what are the misconceptions, but they talk about some of the things that are important in packaging. So, why do people think there are misconceptions? I'm not sure where they were going, but you certainly need temperature control. And that could be involved with packaging design. Strawberry clamshells have airflow built into it, holes built in a very, very specific way, plus channels. They're not flat edges. The bottom is uh, shaped with these channels, not only to prevent the strawberries from sitting in water, but also to allow airflow to get around the strawberries. It does both. The thickness of packaging. If I put something in a box, does that box allow things to be properly cooled? But I have to think about the entire chain, the trucks and the sidewalls of the trucks. Is the entire interior of the truck trailer cool, or is just the air cool and the sidewalls and floor still hot? That's an issue. What about the retail outlet, your grocery stores, or wherever the products being displayed for the consumer? Is that an appropriate temperature, etc.? Incoming product quality or post-harvest technology, we've talked about that in the past, but it is important to have quality, properly harvested, properly transported, stored, and cooled incoming products of the right varieties. Leakers, that's referring to the bags. And whenever you package a bag or any type of container, not everyone seals perfectly. There are occasionally leakers. How do you detect those? And how do you make sure that your consumers and your retail customers, like the Safeways, et cetera, aren't receiving pallets full of leaked or leaker material? Gas flushing or modified atmosphere packaging using primarily nitrogen gas to flush out most of the oxygen. Static environments, things like inside the package, it is when you have modified atmosphere packaging with OTR films, it's not a completely static environment because you have slow oxygen transmission through that film. So it is a dynamic environment, but there are other environments where you're not allowing any airflow. Cold chain management, I talked about that with temperature control, and one product fits all. That I can see as a misconception. That's not true. And we've been learning that the 1 pound salad, which was the one size fits all for a number of years, as the produce industry was grappling with the concept of packaged salads. Now we've got all kinds of things. We've got baby spinach, we've got a spring mix, we've got the Oriental or Asian salads, the Southwestern salads, and on and on and on. And people are finding things that they like. Now you've got to find a balance. One size fits all doesn't work, and a product for everybody doesn't work, at least not in today's technology. We can't individually customize a salad to the customer, so to each customer. So we need to look at balancing a variety of things that are available that allows choice for the consumer, but keeping the number at a manageable level, keeping your SKUs, as it's called, keeping your SKUs down to a manageable level. Your SKUs are your barcodes, your unique combinations of product and packaging. Let's take a quick break